Hey, welcome back to the Spector Creative channel, and today we're going to talk X-Men movies, X-Men movies to come. We're all really excited, right? Now that Fox and Disney have become one, like a twin, and the older X-Men movies, while very cool and Matrix costume inspired, are going kind of into the legacy area, and the X-Men will be reinvented anew as part of the MCU. How this will happen? Hey, it's anyone's guess, but man, it's probably going to be amazing. And the X-Men films we've all waited for. Not that the Bryan Singer films weren't great, but more to come. I mean, heck, we're already seeing Deadpool and Wolverine as part of the MCU and how they'll do with that and multiverse issues. Hey, it's all to be seen. But we've had a lot of hints that more is coming, like, all those hints dropped in She-Hulk. Not that hint. That was just, a gag. Well, I guess this was a gag too, but the headline about a man fighting in a bar with claws, as well as that giant statue from the Eternals sticking out of the ocean. Hey, a cool way to bring it all together, right? Now, these haven't been our only hints that the X-Men are coming. Obviously, we saw Professor X in Doctor Strange 2, and, it was honestly one of the cooler moments, especially because of the musical tones that we heard as he pulled up in his very animated-looking wheelchair. All right, hover chair. So what's the issue then? Well, you see, the X-Men have a bit of a PR problem, and this has been going on for quite a few years. I made a video a while back calling it sort of their toy problem, and obviously the X-Men translate into action figures very well. They all have visual superpowers, colorful outfits. It works. In fact, it almost works too well because the X-Men are so colorful and so vast and so diverse that it's kind of hard to say, well, wait, who are the X-Men again? I mean, yes, you have kind of the same issue with the Avengers. Obviously, there is almost a countless number of characters that have been official members over the years and gotten those little, cards that give you FaceTime. But even with an expanded roster, the Avengers do have their core characters, Cap, Iron Man, Thor, and the other big thing is their outfits don't really change. Yeah, there's slight modifications, but for the most part, Cap, Thor, and Iron Man, and Hulk look the same. They have. Not so much with the X-Men. In fact, major characters have major outfits. Wolverine is just as well known in his tiger stripe outfit as he is in his brown outfit. So when putting him out there for the public at large that's not as familiar, how do you deal with this? So many of the characters have very different looks that they almost become unrecognizable. You can take one look and take, from the beginning and compare it to what the character looks like now, put them side by side, and, well, most people that are not huge comic book toy movie fans could be like, wait a minute, those are the X-Men? I thought they wore black. Or, I thought Cyclops, you could see his hair, or Wolverine was in yellow. There's also not just been costume changes, but team changes. The X-Men Outback look versus, current looks versus the Jim Lee blue and gold era. You put these teams next to each other, and sometimes there can be very little consistency. And fans tend to need a stable, classic look, which is why the characters that they can relate to, and a lot of times from the animated series, work well. X-Men Evolution, as an example, and yes, I know the whole debate if this is a better show than the other animated series, it started off with a very core team, and 90% of the show was about that core team. Eventually, by the end of the show, especially in the finale, they expanded and, got a lot more members, and the uniforms started becoming a little bit more standardized. But this took time. It took 4 seasons to get to this point. It was a very, very slow burn. And you could say the same thing with the X-Men animated series from '92, where again, you had your core team that was in the opening credits. The advice and really the issue is keeping it simple. It's so easy for the X-Men to get complicated. Different timelines, clones, alternate versions of characters, different teams, different looks. It's too much for the general public. That is way too much for the general public to comprehend. You have to slim it down and keep it super simple and basic concepts. A team that's easy to remember, that wear uniforms that connect them as a team, and a great place to start, actually, I think would be the X-Men '97 animated series sequel. This is going to be a reintroduction of the characters to a lot of the public. and I'm presuming they'll all be in their original X-Men animated series look. Well, this is perfect, because we now have X-Men content being delivered to the public that can help sort of mold the public's expectations and view of who and what the X-Men are, and then just duplicate that in the movies. If you literally take the X-Men 92 team and make the movie about those members in that look, that specific team, I guess called the blue and gold team, that era, as well as other elements from the animated series. The theme song, okay, I mean, not only is it obviously one of the best animated theme songs ever written, but it's already been used in the MCU, as I said, with that tease with Professor X, and theme songs, music is such a memory connector. Not only, as I said, is this theme song amazing and one of the best animated series themes, it invokes the character, kind of like the theme song for Batman the Animated Series, which borrowed from Tim Burton's films and Danny Elfman's themes. And that was very deliberate, and it worked so well because it connected the animated series to the live action. We've also seen this a little bit with Spider-Man, where the old 1960s theme has been kind of reinvented as his MCU theme. These details are so important. Even though the theme songs are old, Spider-Man's going back to the 60s, Batman and the X-Men to the 90s, these theme songs work. Now, another issue with details is it would be great to see a more comic-inspired version of the team on screen. Obviously, the Bryan Singer team in the Matrix outfits, we're going for, Hollywood, blockbuster, hunk look. That's why you got a Wolverine played by Hugh Jackman, as opposed to a much shorter actor who would be more appropriate to the comic book look. And this is a chance to kind of, I guess, sort of correct those issues with the X-Men for the public at large. I mean, the details with Wolverine don't just stop there. His claws are traditionally coming out of his wrists, but in the current movie, the Fox movies, they come out of his, his knuckles, if you will. So it's those little changes that I think that can make the new version stand out. Now, lastly, the other big part is the appeal to kids. X-Men has such a natural appeal to kids because, well, X-Men offers something that other superheroes don't, and that's just having a superhero because you wake up with superpowers one day, when you're going through puberty. What an easy aspirational fantasy for a child to have. You don't have to be bitten by a radioactive spider, be from another planet, train your whole life. Nope, you just wake up and suddenly superpowers. Plus, there's that whole prejudice issue, which obviously has so many ratifications or I guess metaphors, for real life with, racism in the 60s all the way through today. And this is absolutely the emotional connection that I think the movie should focus on because it's so easy to connect that to the real world. Everyone knows what it's like to, at some point in their life, be the victim of bigotry and racism or, et cetera, et cetera. It's a great formula. It's a perfect formula for a superhero movie. So don't overcomplicate it. Don't overcomplicate it with extra characters. Don't overcomplicate it with crazy costumes. Handle this property with kid gloves, and it can absolutely be the backbone of the MCU going forward. But the public needs to be on board, and the public needs to be able to recognize them. So jumping in full throttle to 100 X-Men? No. But starting with a small, recognizable team, you have the chance to actually build public awareness and turn this into a property that's going to be supported for sequels to come. I hope you enjoyed this video, and it was a good look at what the X-Men MCU kind of needs to do in order to win the public over. I hope you found this video entertaining and insightful. Share it with others. It's the best way to support this channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.